Listen, the world is quiet in the hour before dawn. The earth is wet with memory. The trees are heavy with ghosts. Somewhere between mist and breath, between the mortal and the divine, a whisper moves through the Teutoburg Forest. They say if you stand here long enough, if you listen deep enough, you can still hear the echo of Rome breaking, shields cracking, men praying, a world tilting into nightmare, 3 legions swallowed whole, the empire's pride choked by mud and trees and betrayal, and in the silence that followed, only wolves sang for the fallen. The Romans called it a disaster. The Germans called it freedom. But the forest remembers only blood. Now the sun rises again on this haunted soil, but it rises on a new storm, a Roman storm. An emperor's fury wearing the face of a grieving son of Rome, Germanicus, sharp as winter steel, calm as ice before it shatters. A man forged from discipline and vengeance and the impossible weight of an empire humiliated. Where others saw wilderness, he sees prey. Where others hear whispers, he hears unfinished business. His boots sink in the same mud that swallowed the dead 10 years ago. His torch flickers against the same bark where Roman skulls once hung like macabre lanterns of war. Tacitus wrote, "He was seized with a desire to pay funeral honors to the soldiers and their ensigns." Now Germanicus kneels, lifting a splintered helmet from moss, brushing earth from weathered bone, no tears. Rome does not weep, Rome remembers, Rome avenges. Behind him, legionaries stand silent, no grand speeches, no cheering. Only the low hum of anger, old and patient. Spears gleam like lines carved by gods. The breath of thousands steams beneath iron helmets. The air tastes of rust and judgment. A veteran murmurs, barely more than breath, a line once inked by Livy on a trembling hand. No nation ever suffered such a catastrophe. The men nod. They do not speak the other truth, the shame. They carry it like steel beneath ribs. Germanicus places the helmet beside broken bones and whispers only 3 words. Roma non oblivisita? Rome does not forget. Even the wind pauses. Even the birds do not dare sing. For in that moment it is not merely a general standing in the ashes of memory. It is the empire itself, wounded, humiliated, but not broken. Never broken, and far beyond the line of Roman torches, deep within the shadows of ancient oak and tangled root, another figure listens. Arminius, scarred by war, crowned by legend, a wolf the empire once raised as its own pup. Roman steel taught him, Roman coin fed him, Roman trust armed him, and he turned all of it against Rome. The man who shattered 3 legions, who tricked a consul, who made the name Varus taste like copper and shame on Roman tongues forever. The forest breathes him. The mist clings to him like loyal spirits. He touches the earth as if feeling a heartbeat. This is his altar, his throne. His memory carved not in marble but in wounds and mud. He whispers to the cold air, voice low and reverent. They return to bury their dead. But I bury empires here. A raven croaks, black wings against grey dawn. Arminius stands like a prophet carved from the woods themselves. A living oath. Let them come. Wind chops through branches like whispered prophecy. Behind him, men gather, warriors with furs dripping dew, eyes burning like coals in winter pits. They look to Arminius the way Romans once looked to their marble gods. He raises his spear, not in triumph, but in warning. Rome thinks time heals all wounds. He murmurs, but time only sharpens spears. Yet beneath the defiance, something else lingers, not fear. Arminius fears nothing mortal, but fate, destiny, the old gods stirring in the roots, for even legends know legends must end. Germanicus rides through the charred clearing where once Roman tents stood, the final camp before annihilation. He sees burned stakes, rusted armor half, devoured by moss, a standard pole split like bone. A hush falls over the army, no orders, just breath and memory fused into steel resolve. He turns slowly, eyes like carved stone beneath the helmet. Here, he says softly, the line broke. Here Rome bled. A murmur ripples like storm wind through ranks. He raises his hand. "No, we reclaim this land." The sound that follows is not a cheer, but a growl. Controlled, deadly. Rome doesn't roar, it promises. And Germanicus moves, a silent storm slashing through mist. The army marches, shields breathing, sandals kissing earth like heartbeat. Standard eagles glint gold, piercing the gloom like divine judgment returning to a forgotten altar. In the brush, German scouts vanish into shadow. In the trees, Germanic hunters melt deeper, watching, waiting, 1,000 eyes behind branches like gods peering from altars of bark. The world tightens. History leans forward to see which ghost will haunt which empire. Arminius stands with eyes fixed on the marching columns. He does not smile. Great wolves do not grin at lions. They measure them. He murmurs a line once spoken in Roman academies he trained in, now turned like a blade against its maker. War truth is the first casualty. Then, softer, and truth is Rome is not invincible. Germanicus halts at the forest edge. Legions freeze, forming a line like iron teeth across the tree line. One step more, and they enter Arminius's world, a world where roads crumble, where order falters, where Rome's straight lines warp into nature's wild spirals, a world that ate empire once. Germanicus stares into the shadows, and the forest stares back. Breath meets breath. Silence bends like a bowstring. A Roman centurion whispers a verse, voice trembling with reverence and dread. In the darkest woods, even Mars walks softer. Germanicus does not blink. "We walk harder," he answers. Then he steps forward. The forest closes around them like a beast swallowing prey. Branches arch overhead, skeletal fingers clasping to extinguish the light. The air is damp, dense, thick with breath not their own. Men who fought in the east speak of deserts where sand swallows armies. But this is a green grave made of roots and silence. The legion forms tight, shields brushing shields, footsteps measured, iron discipline holding back the primal urge to run from the ancient thing watching them here. For the Teutoburg Forest is not mere earth and tree, it is memory. It is a graveyard with a pulse. Somewhere in that dark, where the undergrowth chokes light, Roman bones sleep beneath roots like forgotten gods buried without temples. Germanicus feels eyes upon him. Many eyes. Eyes filled with hatred older than his command, older than his emperor, older than even the stones of the Forum in Rome. He raises his hand and the column halts. The silence is alive. Leaves tremble without wind. A bird cries once sharp, then dies into hush. And then a voice, soft, mocking, carried by unseen breath, slips through the trees. Not Latin, but Rome understands it all the same. A challenge, a memory, a curse. Arminius watches from the heights, crouched behind twisted oak, a ghost in wolfskin. His hair hangs wild, his eyes fierce with something deeper than rage, not vengeance, not victory, purpose, fate. He presses his palm to the earth, and feels the drum of Roman hearts marching where no Roman should. He murmurs to the soil, to the gods beneath roots and stone, once Rome marched here proud, and the earth swallowed them whole. If they come again, let them taste the same. And the forest seems to answer, leaves rattling like bones dancing in wind. A scout, young and brave in the foolish way youth knows bravery, steps too far ahead. A whisper, a flicker. A shape among ferns. Then a spear erupts from his chest, blood spraying like warm rain. He gasps, reaching for a god that does not answer fast enough, and collapses into earth that accepts him without question. The forest exhales. Rome inhales steel. No battle cry, just instant violence, sharp and merciless. Arrows hiss through branches like angry gods. Spears rain from shadow. Men fall choking, clutching wounds, their shields suddenly too heavy, their faith in discipline tested against chaos older than law. A centurion roars orders, voice cracking the air like whip. Shields. Lock. The legions respond, ancient drill rising like instinct, phalanx forming, iron wall closing, teeth clenched behind iron faces. Rome does not panic. Rome reshapes fear into structure. Germanicus sits tall on his horse, eyes burning through the storm of splintered wood and iron claw. Around him, officers bark commands, horns blare, formations shift like a machine learning to breathe in darkness. But he says nothing yet. He watches. He remembers. In these trees rashness once fed grave soil, and he has not come to join the bones. He has come to bury a memory. A shadow darts. A German warrior leaps screaming from brush, axe raised like a fragment of thunder. He swings. The blow crashes against a Roman shield. A gladius snaps upward, severing throat from roar. The forest drinks again. War breathes deeper. Arminius sees the Roman wall hold, sees formation tighten like iron ribs around a beating heart. He does not tremble. He smiles, not with joy, but with recognition. They learned, he whispers. Who at a weak Rome is not worth killing twice. His warriors melt back into trees. No frontal clash, no open slaughter. This is not a battlefield, it is a hunt. And Rome is prey that refuses to break. Germanicus raises his sword, slowly, deliberately, a gesture that cuts through chaos with more power than a shout. The signal spreads like fire racing through dry reeds. The line begins to move, not a rush, but a grind shield, step, thrust. Advanced by blood and discipline, Rome does not sprint into the trap. Rome walks through it like a god-testing mortal ground. The Germans harry, vanish, reappear, strike, fade. Voices shout from unseen mouths, taunting in shadow. Where are your eagles? Where is Varus? Laughter, cruel, ancient, echoes of humiliation buried but never rotted. A Roman swallows rage like burning wine. Another grips his sword until knuckles whiten like bone. Honor is a wound. Revenge is salt. Germanicus murmurs under breath, almost prayer, almost oath. We answer not to ghosts. We make ghosts. He gestures right. Cavalry sweeps into the underbrush, hooves churning soil, spears ready to skewer spirits into flesh. But the riders chase shadows, not men. The forest breathes again, pleased. Hours drag like chains across stone. Sweat mixes with blood. Boots sink in mud that remembers Roman screams. But the legions endure. Because they are Rome, and Rome is a thing that eats centuries, not moments. Night begins to press its weight, thick and black. Torches sputter in wind that smells of iron and omen. Germanicus signals camp. A fortress rises from forest like iron blooming from earth, stakes driven, shields stacked, fires lit, a boundary carved against the wild. Rome sleeping inside Roman walls even in the world's teeth. Inside the camp, men whisper of ghosts, of Varus, of legionaries whose bones they stepped on. Some clean blades again and again as if steel remembers fear. One young soldier mutters a line from Virgil, voice shaking like leaf. Time itself brings vengeance. Another answers like breath from grave. And time has brought us, outside, atop a ridge dripping night. Arminius watches Roman fires glow like defiance in the belly of gods. He is silent a long time. His breath forms pale clouds. His eyes reflect flame like predator studying rival predator. Good. He murmurs. Let them sleep. Let them think the forest tired. He raises his spear towards stars hidden by branches thick as fate. Tomorrow the wolves feast, yet in his chest something stirs. Not doubt, but recognition. Rome has changed. It bleeds, but it does not kneel. It suffers, but it does not surrender. It walks into the grave and plants banners. It is not a man, not even a nation. It is an idea sharpened into empire, and ideas do not die in forests. Germanicus sits alone in his tent, maps stretched like skin beneath candle flame. His finger traces ridges and valleys like reading the wrinkles of destiny. He leans back, eyes narrowing, and whispers Tacitus words like flint sparking steel. Fortune favors the bold. Outside, thunder rumbles faintly, like old gods clearing their throats. He does not pray. Rome is gods, but Germanicus trusts steel more than Olympus. In the dark beneath roots, insects hum, wolves prowl, owls blink. The forest waits, ancient and patient. It has seen empire before. it will see empire again. But this moment, this clash of breath, blade, fate, is one history will not forget. And somewhere between firelight and shadow, between empire and wilderness, two destinies sharpen themselves in silence. Germanicus, child of Rome, sworn to restore honor taken in mud. Arminius, son of the forest, sworn to keep wild land free of marble chains. The night stretches, the wind rises, the world holds its breath. Tomorrow, legends bleed. The forest remembers. It remembers the screams. It remembers the thunder of legionary shields smashing against dripping bark, the flash of bronze in rain-soaked twilight, the way Rome once choked here, bled here, died here. Soaked into roots, into moss, into the very veins of this ancient soil, Teutoburg. The name rolls like a warning whispered on cold wind. 3 legions swallowed whole, an empire's pride broken in mud and leaves. And now, years later, the ground trembles again, because Rome has returned, because vengeance marches, because the name Germanicus carries the weight of gods and grief, and a promise carved in Latin steel Rome does not forget. Imagine the dawn. Mist coiling low, horses steaming, shields glistening with dew like morning tears for ghosts not yet avenged. Germanicus Julius Caesar sits astride his mount, silent, watching the woods like a man staring into the open jaws of a beast he intends to tame. Behind him, tens of thousands breathe the same cold air, strings tightening on bows, knuckles whitening around spears, the metallic heartbeat of empire singing through armor plates. The Rhine lies behind them. Destiny lies ahead. In the hush, the memory of trauma moves like a shadow. Teutoburg. Augustus himself once whispered, hands trembling, voice breaking. Varus. "Give me back my legions!" The words cling like frost. Rome has not forgotten. Rome will not forgive. A whisper rises among men who were not yet born when Varus marched into this doom, yet feel the shame like inherited sin. It burns. It demands cleansing. And so they march. Close your eyes and walk beside them. Feel wet leaves crunch under boots. Smell the mix of pine and iron and the faint rot of ancient deaths never buried with honor. Soldiers murmur prayers, half Latin, half fear. They have heard the stories. How the forest came alive, how every tree hid a spear, how the sky rained arrows, how Roman armor drowned in mud thicker than blood. But Germanicus is not Varus. He is colder, sharper, carved by ambition and bound by duty. He carries not confusion into the woods but wrath. Not trust in allies, but steel sharpened by doubt. Voices of historians echo from the dust of time. Tacitus whispers, he burned the lands, laid waste to every hearth, so vengeance might fall upon them like judgment. Ancient words scrape across the centuries like bronze on stone. The legionaries carry them. They wear them like armor. They march. The trees tighten around them. The wind moans, or is that memory? A Roman standard flutters, the eagle catching weak northern light, wings spread like a vow. That bird has flown here before, and did not fly home. Every feather seems to tremble with hunger. Ahead, scouts signal, movement. Shadows flit like wolves between trees. No sound but the forest breathing. And then, something glints half buried beneath tangled roots. Germanicus dismounts, kneels, brushes earth away with a reverence usually reserved for altars. A Roman helmet, rusted, crushed, and beside it, a skull, jaw broken, teeth scattered. The legion behind him stiffens. This ground is holy in its horror. They dig. Bones appear like ghosts rising from dirt, ribs twisted like broken gate bars, arms splayed, shattered shields, rings of mail eaten by time. No graves, no rites, just bodies left for crows. A legion's shame displayed by nature like a cruel monument. A centurion's vine, staff lies snapped beside bones, silent testimony of discipline conquered by chaos. One young soldier weeps quietly. Germanicus does not stop him. This is not weakness. It is fuel. Tacitus again whispers. They found bleaching bones in the glades, the altars where our generals were sacrificed. None could behold without tears or rage. Rage. Yes. It rises like a storm. Germanicus lifts the skull. Rome remembers. He murmurs, lowers thunder. Rome avenges. The men build graves. They pray over strangers whose names they will never know. They plant spears upright in earth like a forest of vengeance. And then they move. No cheers. No chants. Vengeance does not shout. It waits. It breathes. It follows. Deeper into the forest. Deeper into the wound. For somewhere beyond the trees, beyond the whispering leaves, beyond the memory of slaughter, Arminius waits, the wolf of the forest, the man who broke Rome. Once a Roman auxiliary, once a friend to Rome's sons, now a legend forged in betrayal and triumph. His blood carries both worlds, and tears them until they bleed. The legion moves like a fist closing around a throat, and far beyond them, among the trees, a shadow watches with eyes like winter steel. Arminius smiles, not with joy, but with the cold satisfaction of a man who has already walked through hell and learned to set fire to its gates. Let them come, he whispers to the wind. The forest remembers them too. Aim, party, to a night settles like shroud, cloth over the German woodlands. Torches flicker. Sparks drift upward like souls released from battlefield purgatory. The Roman camp breathes. Metal clinks softly, leather creaks. Murmured orders slither through shadows. Germanicus walks alone among tents, cloak trailing like spilled ink against pale firelight. A general does not sleep when destiny prowls beyond tree line. He studies maps drawn by men who never returned from this place. They feel like lies. The forest does not obey maps. It obeys memory, wrath, and whispering gods older than Rome's marble-carved pantheon. A tribune approaches, helmet under arm. The men are restless, he murmurs. Germanicus nods. Of course they are. Every branch creaks like a bowstring. Every gust of wind feels like feathered death brushing skin. Rome is powerful, but here Rome is an intruder. Yet vengeance gives courage edges sharper than fear. A soldier sharpens his gladius again, and again though the blade already gleams. Another mutters to Jupiter, voice trembling. A third mutters not in prayer but in vow, for Varus. The ground beneath them seems to hum with ghosts, and somewhere else, deep in the black where torches dare not breathe, Arminius addresses his war band. No armor gleams. No standards rise. Faces marked in ash, spears hardened by fire, wolf pelts drip with dew.
They come not as conquerors,
he says quietly, but as mourners. They seek bones and ghosts. We gave them ghosts once. We can give them again. His men murmur approval, low, hungry, feral. But his eyes, those hard river stone eyes, reveal something else. Memory. Years ago he walked Roman streets, heard senators praise fate, saw Rome's arrogance glitter like steel in sun. They called him ally, taught him their tongue, honored him, until they sought to chain his people beneath eagle wings. He betrayed them, or saved his own. History debates. Forest does not. Forest only remembers blood. But Germanicus marches not alone. He brings cavalry, auxiliaries, archers that breathe discipline like breath itself, and unlike Varus, he listens. He suspects treachery everywhere. He trusts nothing but steel and vengeance, dawn. The legion rises as one body of bronze and fury. The forest exhales fog, like breath from an unseen beast. They march. Drums boom like the steady heartbeat of empire. The forest seems to tense. Birds fall silent. Then, movement. A flicker. A rustle. Arrows hiss like serpents loosed from the trees. Shields snap upward. Impact rattles through bone. Men grunt. But this time Rome does not panic. Shields interlock. Formation bites into ground. Advance! Germanicus roars, voice cutting fog like spear tip. The line moves. Measured. Terrible. In the dim distance, German warriors melt between trunks like smoke. Appearing, striking, vanishing. They know these woods. Their feet kiss the moss like lovers. Rome answers with discipline. Javelins hurled in volleys. Peeler arsing overhead like angry constellations. Screams tear bark, crash through shadows. This time Rome bleeds, but so do the wolves. Tacitus murmurs across centuries, "They came forth from swamps and gloom, and again fled to darkness, but Rome pressed with steady wrath. Germanicus fights not as prince but predator. Mud clings to graves. Ash paints his breath. At his command, cavalry thunders to flank, hooves turning earth into storm. Shouts erupt. Bodies collide. Steel sings. A German warrior lunges, eyes wild, blade raised in raw hate. Germanicus drives him down, voice like iron. Rome remembers. Hours blur. Forest shakes with violence. But the trap never springs, because Germanicus refuses to break formation, refuses to trust ground, refuses to give forest its prey. He has studied Arminius the way wolves study rival wolves. Evening, German bodies lie like fallen leaves. Roman shields dented, crimson flecked. The enemy withdraws into night, not routed, not broken, but checked, contained. Arminius watches from ridge shadow, breathing hard. This foe is not Varus, this Rome learns. He whispers, good, because to defeat a titan, one must see its full height. Germanicus stands amidst exhausted men, blood drying black on cheek. He feels neither triumph nor doubt, only gravity. Vengeance is not yet fed, but it has begun to eat, and deep in the hush after battle, when wounded moan like distant ghosts and torches hiss in damp air, the forest carries a whisper, not yet, not finished. The dead lie as witnesses, and Rome prepares to strike again. Part 3a weeks grind by in blood and mud. Germanicus pursues the shadow of Arminius across river and ridge, through marsh thick as nightmare, through villages burned to bone, dust. He offers mercy to those who kneel, fire to those who dare memory. German mothers watch legion columns pass with hate simmering in eyes hardened by grief. Rome calls this justice. The forest calls it intrusion. Somewhere in this relentless march, Germanicus does what Rome rarely does. He listens to land, to scouts, to survivors. He learns. The battlefield comes not as ambush, but chosen ground, open enough for cavalry, close enough to smell pine sap. Arminius warriors gather, thousands strong, shields rough-hewn, spears lifted, voices chanting to gods older than Jupiter, older than marble, older than empire. Arminius rides forward, hair wild, eyes fever bright, carved like a saga hero born in storm and vengeance. Germanicus mirrors him, polished armor, Roman discipline forged into human will like sword forged in lightning. For a heartbeat the world holds breath. Then chaos, clash, roar. The earth shakes beneath hooves and hate. This is not Teutoburg's ambush. This is storm meeting storm, iron craving iron. Germanicus commands with fury carved into clarity, flanks swing wide, cavalry crushes, archers rain death like black hail. Arminius fights like myth, blade flashing like wolf's fang, laughter breaking through blood, fog as if battle itself sings to him. You learned, he shouts across carnage. Rome learns, Germanicus answers, voice like judgment. Hours bleed, screams rise, shields shatter, spears splinter, men drown in mud and fury. Rome pushes. Germans fall back, not routed, resisting like roots clinging to earth. And then, as dusk bleeds into sky like wound opening, Arminius vanishes into forest shadow, not broken, but beyond grasp like spirit bound to the trees. His warriors fade after him, stubborn savage, unbeaten in soul though beaten in ground. Silence swells. Rome stands. Blood-soaked, ragged, triumphant in duty, not in joy. Germanicus surveys field where dreams and rage and men lie tangled like broken gods. He has avenged Varus, maybe not with triumphal parade, but with iron burned into Germany's memory. Tacitus once wrote, sought not conquest of land, but conquest of fear, and fear here has bent. Rome will never again be ambushed by forest. Rome has proved it can bleed and still rise sharper, yet Arminius lives. And that matters. Rome claims victory. But legends do not die when bodies do. Years pass, Germanicus returns to Rome adored, celebrated, yet shadowed by fate. He dies young, whispered poison or cruel stars, history debating while destiny laughs. But Arminius, The forest wolf does not fall in battle. His end comes not by Roman blade, but by tribal dagger, betrayed by kin who feared his growing power more than Rome's shadow. No legion kills him. No emperor chains him. Instead, he slips from world like fog lifting from pine at dawn, leaving only memory. Tacitus breathes through centuries. He was the liberator of Germany. Yet Romans mutter another line, half fear, half respect. He was the savior of his people and the destroyer of peace. But the forest has its own scripture. It says he never died, that when storms roll and pines bend like warriors remembering walk songs, a figure walks with wolf fur on shoulders and steel in hand. A ghost, a legend, a warning. Germanicus crushed rebellion, but not spirit. He proved Rome could strike back, could scar the land that scarred it. But Arminius proved something colder. Empire is vast, yet forest is endless. Power conquers, yet memory resists. Rome won its vengeance. Yet in quiet moments, even Roman veterans swear they hear him in rustle of leaves, whispering in tongue older than temples. The forest remembers. If you stand in those woods today, where moss clings like memory and wind moves like ancient grief, you might feel it. The echo of iron, the heartbeat of empire, the breath of wolf, spirits in twilight gloom. Germanicus returned Rome's pride, but Arminius became myth, and myths do not kneel. Rome avenged Varus, the eagle flew again. But somewhere in shadowed glade, where mist coils like ancestral spirits, the legend of the forest smiles still, untouched, unbroken, alive in every whisper of ancient trees. For Rome ends, empires fade, but forests remember. And so, when the moon hangs pale over the ancient woods and the world falls quiet enough for ghosts to breathe, listen, you may hear marching feet far away, not in earth but in memory, the tread of legions that refuse to bow to loss, the echo of Rome's vow etched like scars into time. You may hear the crack of branches beneath unseen boots, as if warriors of another age pass by unseen, bound to duty beyond death. And if wind stirs harsh through blackened pines, you might think it whispers a name. Not Germanicus, the avenger of empire, beloved and doomed, but the other one, the wolf's chosen, the child of empire turned executioner of empire, the man who walked between worlds and chose the one that blood beneath trees instead of shining under marble. Arminius, not a king, not a slave, a memory carved in iron and betrayal, a storm that refused to kneel. Rome wrote its histories in stone. The forest carved its truth in root and myth. One endures in pages, the other in eternity, and somewhere between them stands a moment when vengeance marched and legend answered, and the fate of two worlds collided in rain and mud and roaring steel. Germanicus returned home crowned in honor, draped in triumph, yet haunted by what victory could not cage. Arminius vanished into legend's breath, not slain by enemies, but consumed by the weight of destiny, as all who carry worlds on shoulders eventually are. Yet even now, beneath soil fed by centuries of silence, beneath moss older than any empire's dream, beneath the hush of dawn where memory waits, the forest still keeps its secret. Rome avenged its dead, the eagle rose again. But the wolf walked onward, beyond reach, beyond empire, beyond mortality. For empire is a breath, a moment, a spark on the wind. But myth is the fire that outlives all sparks, all stones, all crowns. And in the depths of Germany's ancient night, where shadows cling to bark like spirits unwilling to leave, where fog curls like forgotten prayers, where history lingers in the hush between heartbeats, the myth still walks. Listen long enough, and the world might fall silent in fear and reverence. Listen deeper still, and you may feel the forest shift, as if it inhales and exhales the memory of blood and thunder. And in that breath, you will know Rome won its vengeance. Yet in the oldest parts of the world, in places untouched by time, untouched by empire, untouched by forgetting, one truth whispers like wind through bone branches. The forest remembers. The wolf does not kneel, and legends never die. Before you leave this battlefield, before the echoes fade and the forest swallows our footsteps, remember this history is not quiet. It breathes. It hunts. It waits for those brave enough to listen. If this journey stirred something within you, if the ghosts of Teutoburg and the vengeance of Rome gripped your spirit, then stand with us. Subscribe to this channel, return to these forgotten frontiers, and walk again through the shadows where empires rise and legends refuse to die. Like this video, share it with those who still feel the pull of the ancient world, and let your voice be heard in the comments below. Tell us which forgotten saga you dare to explore next, because the past is never gone, it is only waiting, and together we will bring it back to life. Until then, tread carefully. The forest remembers.